Welcome to Portia Matters, where we chatter on what matters. I'm your host, Portia Alvaro. Today, we're diving into a topic that touches all of us in different ways: poverty. Sometimes it shows up financially, but other times it's emotional, spiritual, or even social. And honestly, many of us experience a mix of these without even realizing it. In this episode, our guest shares her powerful story of pushing through her own experiences with poverty and finding a way forward. Her journey is honest, inspiring, and full of insight. I'm really excited for you to hear what she has to say. So let's get into it.
Hello.
Hi, Tara. Thanks for joining us.
How are you? You are very welcome. Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you. To begin, please give us a brief background and a fun fact about yourself.
Okay. So, again, my name is Sarah Poi. Background: I have been an elementary, junior, middle school. My age is showing. Teacher. I think I'm on year 16 now, something like that. Teaching is a passion. It probably shouldn't, but it defines me as a person. I am proud to tell people that I'm a teacher. I work extremely hard to be the best teacher that I can be. I'm a people person. Background: I am a child of poverty, and so yeah, there's a lot to that background. Fun fact about me: I never learned to whistle, and I love anything and everything glitter. I have actually turned it into a side business, a very successful one when I have time outside of my teaching gig.
Yeah, well, thank you for all your glitter stuff that you've given me. I really
You're
appreciate them.
welcome. I'm glad that you love the stuff.
What are the things that matter most to you?
In my life, my faith, my family. My family is a big one. The people. It is important to me to surround myself with people that I love, people that have positive energy, not energy suckers, not negative people. Sometimes that cannot be avoided, but it is important to me to surround myself with, I guess, maybe what I would consider like-minded people. Not that I don't like diversity, but if you're going to drag me down, we're probably not going to mesh well. Like I will still love you. I can love you from afar. But I'm just not going to jump on that bandwagon. I don't. We are surrounded. We have become a society that is surrounded by stuff, heavy stuff, and I can get enough of that from the world. I don't need
From
it
the
from the
news?
people who yes, the news. I'm like, oh, geez, like this makes me want to stab my eyeballs out. Like seriously,
Yeah.
no. So my family, my faith, my career, the way that I reach children in particular, that is important to me. That is very important to me. Being a better version of myself tomorrow than I was yesterday is important to me because it just is. It's just it matters to me. It matters to me that I'm a good person, that I treat people well, that I'm kind, that I hope that I portray kindness in everything that I do. That's I mean, that's just something that I strive to be. So it's very important to me. I have my moments. My husband is unfortunately usually the brunt of that. He usually gets to see that ugly side when I'm very frustrated or, like his very existence gets on my nerves. I'm like, why are you still here? Like, ugh. But for the most part, outwardly, it is important for me to surround myself with good people and kind people and treat people that way as well.
All right. Thank you for sharing that.
You are welcome.
I think all of those things factor into our topic today.
Absolutely. They do. They do.
Which is about overcoming poverty. All right. Let's dive in.
Okay.
What were your experiences with poverty from childhood all the way to your adulthood?
Okay. So the beautiful thing about growing up in poverty And I say that it's a beautiful thing. Yes, I could spin it negatively. I could be like, "Oh, well, we didn't have this or we didn't have that or whatever." But that has molded me into the person that I am. And I know that that may sound weird, but it so I've what poverty has done for me is created a the person that values relationships with other people. I do not value stuff. I do not value money. I don't care. Like, I just need enough money to pay my bills. And outside of that, like, if I hit the lottery tomorrow, I would still be shopping at the Dollar Tree. I would still be going to thrift stores. I don't need a $6,000 purse ever in my life. Now my husband, people call me bougie, but I do like things. My friend Erica, she's here. She was like, "You didn't know that you were bougie?" And I was like, "No." I mean, like my husband called me bougie because I ordered a butter bell. Like, have you ever seen a butter bell? And I was like, "That's so it's like it's okay, so it's a little ceramic container. It's it's not oblong like a butter dish, but you put your butter in there and it sits upside down and you put water in the bottom of it. And it keeps your butter at perfect spreading consistency all the time. And that's why he thinks one of the reasons that he thinks I'm bougie. But the thing about poverty and growing up poor and being very, very close with your family. Here's the thing about that. You don't know that you're poor. I mean, you know that I never ever had name brand stuff growing up. Never. And I went to an elementary school that was middle class, predominantly middle class, upper middle class. So I was seeing all these kids at the time, and I'm going to age myself here, Portia, with Guess jeans, and I never had Guess jeans. Like, I just didn't. Everybody was wearing Sebagos and tree torns, and I got stuff from Hills Department Store. But I mean, did it bother me then?
Yeah.
Mm,
Did it?
Uh, a little, maybe, because I was like, "Oh, those are really nice shoes." But I knew then at a very young age that my mom was doing the best that she could, and we had each other. We had cousins that I was raised up with like sisters and brothers, and that's what we valued. And if you fought one of us, you were fighting all of us. That's just and that still holds true to this day. And I'm going to plug in here a book that I think that everybody, especially educators, so there's a book called the A Framework for Understanding Poverty, and it's by Ruby Payne. And this woman has done I'm pretty sure is she deceased? I don't know. I don't remember. But she writes this book so beautifully about people of poverty because she took they did a control group of a bunch of people who had won the lottery, people who were born into poverty, and they within a couple years, a year, they were broke again. And it's because they don't value money. They value relationships. They may value things. That's one of the things that she talks about is the reason that they were broke within a year or two or couple is that they would go buy the things that they couldn't have otherwise. They would go buy the big screen TVs, but they didn't just buy themselves a big screen TV. They bought their mamas a TV and their brothers a TV and everybody. So, you have a new car, you buy your brother a new car, or your whoever. So they're very generous. And I have heard this said so many times that wealthy people aren't generous people, that their love is for money. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that that is a person by person case. But if you look at people in poverty, because I have family members who they're not going to loan you any money. They're just not. They are not. They're not going to help you. They're not going to offer to help you. They're going to in fact probably secretly pray that you never ask them for anything. But then you have somebody like me who I'm a teacher. I'm not wealthy, not even close. But if my brother needs something or my cousins need something, I'm there. You need groceries, I'm going to help you. You need to help paying your rent. If I've got it, I'm giving it to you. And that's how we are. My family was large and very, very close. So poverty, I, I know this is going to sound crazy. I blame poverty for me having the relationships that I have with my people. Now, there is also a bad side, a downside to that is um we moved a lot. We moved around a lot. We were evicted because we couldn't pay. I did not know that this was not a normal thing until I was well grown. Like I just thought this was something that everybody did because that's what I was used to. In fact, when I met my husband and we would be, we were first driving around, doing all the things that not young, but new couples do. I'd be like, I used to live there. I used to live there. And one day he was like, my goodness, how many places did you live? And I was like, I don't know, like 10, 8, 12, 15. And I said, how many places did you live? And he was like, we moved once. And I was like, really? Like, I mean, so I'm from a small town and we lived very close to where I moved back here to my uncle's house right now while our house is being built. And I can name 5 places right off the top of my head that we lived within 2 miles of right where I'm sitting. And that was normal just to move around. It was so we the bad side is you get a you kind of attract certain people sometimes when you are born into poverty, when you're trying to escape poverty, and you will do things that maybe not the best decisions. You know what I'm saying? Like the man that my mom chose to
Mm-hmm.
marry wasn't the best decision. He was an alcoholic. He didn't work, which is one of the reasons that we moved around so much. And he would get mad at my mom and throw us out. So we actually lived with his, like, a great uncle or something. Um, and my mom and I, there was this little bitty motel in the city that I'm from, that if we had the money to stay there, we would. If we didn't, we would sleep in the car. She had this old station wagon, and we would sleep in the car. And I can remember her telling me, "Don't tell anybody that we had to sleep in the car. They'll take you from me." And I would, kept those secrets. We moved around so much that my mom had to lie about where we lived because they would, the zoning in the schools here. She wanted me to
Mm-hmm.
stay in the same elementary school. It was a very good elementary school, and we gave my biological father's family's address, and that is forever ingrained into my brain. She would drop me off at school. What is your address? When I was 6 years old, it's 513 School Street, Mama. It's 513 School Street was my address. No matter who asked me, 513 School Street. And she's like, well,
Mm-hmm.
we don't actually live there, but so um that was definitely that can most definitely turn into childhood trauma. Unfortunately, no. Fortunately, I'm a strong-willed person. Always have been, probably, hopefully, always will be, and that didn't affect me as much as maybe it would somebody else. Because to me,
Mm-hmm.
I would not change anything about my past, and I'm going to tell you why. Because that has molded me into the person that I am, and I like the person that I am. It it taught me to be humble. It taught me to be appreciative. It taught me to be grateful. It taught me to hold tight to my family and the things that were really important. And that certainly is not money or things or TVs or fancy cars. I don't need any of that stuff. Like, my husband and I are building a house that is going to be our forever home. And that is nothing but hard work. We've done a big part of the work ourselves. And it's it did teach me to work hard for things that I want. If I want something, I got to work extra super hard to get it. It was just like my education. The odds were stacked against me. Um, I did not have a car when I was 16. I didn't I didn't learn to drive. My plan was I was going to go to UGA. I was going to go to UGA. I worked so hard. I was a straight A student. I had the SAT scores to go, and then when the time came, there was no money for me to go. And I was like, womp, womp, womp.
Mhm.
Because they tell you, get your education, be smart, do good in school, and you're gonna have all this presented to you. And I didn't have, because I didn't play sports. I didn't, and especially when you're from the South and you're in a small town, that is put into, I mean, it's just like if you play sports, you can go to any school. You may not can read, but by golly, you can go to any school you want to go. Well, I didn't get to go to any school I wanted to go. I had to go to community college in Chattanooga, and then my mom got sick, and so I moved out when I was 18. I mean, barely 18, just,
Mhm.
because my mom had been thrown out again, and she wanted me to help her pay the bills for this adult man. And I was like, no, I'm done with this situation. I loved my mother. Will always love my mother, but I was like, I have to build a life of my own, and it's not going to be this. I'm not the thing. I guess that I created resentment in my heart toward my mom, as far as it pertains to poverty, is putting me in situations that I should have never been in. Not on
Mhm.
purpose, never on purpose, just from lack of knowledge, lack of my mom wasn't she dropped out of high school, and she always pushed my education because she knew the struggle. She cleaned motel rooms. She worked in a convenience store. She killed herself at the age of 49, not killed herself as in she committed suicide.
Yes.
She had My mom developed cancer because she had to work in a plant. So here in my area, probably if you have carpet in your house, it is from North Georgia. We Dalton, Georgia is the biggest carpet manufacturer in the world, and my mom worked in a
Mhm.
carpet mill, and from breathing carpet fibers, she developed lung cancer at a very early age and died. Um, so and the death rate, if you look at poverty, it's that they're typically
Yes.
younger, and more health problems, and all that stuff. And if you look further into childhood trauma, and especially if you're an educator and you work with children, childhood trauma, poverty is on the list. Health problems are on the list. Poverty, childhood trauma leads to physical illnesses, and I never knew that. We learned about this in one of my teacher
Mhm.
trainings. They found that um, people who had a lot of childhood trauma were more apt to get cancer, heart disease, obviously heart disease, high blood pressure, all of this stuff. And so that's definitely one of the bad things.
Yes.
And I will tell you the funny thing. The funny
Uh-huh.
thing about poverty is that, because I don't want to get too heavy, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like, it's another one of those things that's my normal and not everybody else's. So I have a thing with toilet paper,
Mm.
like this weird obsession with toilet paper and running out of toilet paper, because growing up, we may or may not have money for toilet paper. It just depends. It just would depend. So we would use washcloths and feminine products, whatever we could
Mhm.
find, to clean up when we went to the restroom. And I can remember thinking, I'm never going to do this when I grow up. I am always going to have toilet paper. So that has become my thing. And my husband, for years and years, he was like, what is your deal with toilet paper? Like, during COVID, that I
Yeah,
almost
I was
lost
thinking
my mind.
about COVID.
Yes, yes. Like, I was like, "Oh my," like, I didn't worry about getting sick or dying, like, none of that. Like, what if I get COVID? Mine was, what if we run out of toilet paper? Like, oh my goodness, you could not find it anywhere. I went to every store on the planet in
Uh-huh.
Pasadena, Houston, Baytown. I was like, nobody has any toilet paper. It's just gone. All it's gone. It's never come back. Like, we're never gonna have toilet paper. And my husband was like, I'm gonna need you to calm down. Like, we have toilet paper. And so, like, if we get it from Costco, and I'm telling you, if we get down to like 10 rolls, I'm like, we gotta go get toilet paper. He's like, no, we're okay. And finally, I'd never really, I guess I never related the two. I know that sounds crazy, but when he started asking me, he was like, what is your deal with toilet paper? And I was like, I I said, the only thing that I can think of is remembering when I was a child that I am never, ever, ever running out of toilet paper,
Yeah.
ever. And he was like, oh, okay. Like, so now he, I tell him all the time that he is the calm to my storm.
Yeah.
I can be running around like a crazy woman, and he's like, hey, what are you doing? Like, what is wrong here?
Wait.
And so, yeah, he just embraces the crazy that I have about toilet
Yeah.
paper. He's like, okay. So I remember one day during COVID, and it has to be Scott's. It has to be, I have to use Scott toilet
Mhm,
paper.
mhm.
Like, it can't be any other toilet paper. It has to be Scott. And he comes in the door and he's got what he can. This is right when everything started shutting down, and he walks in the door, and he was like, "Okay, here's the deal. I need you to stay calm." And I was like, What? He was like, I could only get like a 6 roll, and it's Angel Soft. And I was like, Angel Soft? No. It was just it was this whole over the top panic attack thing. And I was like, no, no. He was like, we still have like 4 rolls of Scott. It's okay. And I was like, no, it's not. We're gonna run out of toilet paper. And he's like, I'm gonna need you to take a pill or something. Like, this is crazy. He was like, do you understand that people can't find bread and you are worried about toilet paper, which we have? And I'm like, no, no, what happens? Like, I'm trying to buy it on the black market. I'm like, anybody have any Scott toilet paper? Like, I need it right now. And so, it's just little things like that.
Yeah.
And I didn't even notice, like, because my normal is definitely
Yeah.
different than his normal.
Yes.
He grew up very upper middle class. He was an only child. I tell him all the time that he has OCS, only child syndrome. And he's like, I don't have that. I'm like, you do. You do have that. Like, you've never struggled a day in your life for anything. And it, like, I was like, what kind of genes did you have, Jonathan? What kind of blue jeans did your mama buy you? And he was like, my mom always bought me Levi's. I was like, I've never owned a pair of Levi's in my life. Like, look, you're lucky they didn't have pockets on the outside. When I grew up, you could see the inside from the outside from inside. Like, what are you kidding me? He had brand new shoes every year, and he didn't have to go into debt to get those things. You know what I mean? Like, it was just he just didn't have to. He didn't have to deal with any of that. His dad was an executive at Unum and IBM, so it's like a whole different world for me because I'm like, you
Wow.
had all these things,
Yeah.
and
How did
yes.
your faith help you overcome poverty?
When you're broke and you have nothing, and I'm not saying that we had nothing. I had my grandparents. I don't know what would have happened to us if I hadn't had my grandparents. You pray. That's what you do. You pray, and you're grounded in that faith, and you trust that faith. And that is the one thing that people can't take from you, that and your education. The uncle that I mentioned, my stepdad's uncle, preached to us. There was myself and my stepsister and my brother 10 years later. My brother and I are 10 years apart. He always told us, and I guess I never understood. I should have understood, but maybe I just, when you're young, you don't think about things. And he always told us, get your education. And education is the only thing that somebody can't take from you. And he missed the faith. People can't take your faith. They can certainly try, because boy, they are trying, but they can't. Um, and your education, because in my lifetime, Portia, things have been taken. We had our power turned off. We had our lights, our water turned off. We had phones taken. We never ever had cell phones. Never. We had been thrown out. We have been cars repoed. Um, all the things. But the thing that was never taken from me was my faith, because that's what I had. That's what I hung to. That's what I clung to. And that in my family. And that's something that I have always there. I went through a period of time where, when my mom passed, where I was angry. I was angry with God, and I was like, you know what? I don't even like you right now, because I don't ask for much in this life. I don't ask for things. I don't ask for stuff. I asked for my mom to be healed, and you couldn't do it for me. Like, what is that about? Like, I had some serious conversations because I was struggling. My mom was diagnosed and passed within a month, less than a month. And I'm a person, you probably know this about me. I'm a person that I'm the caretaker. I'm the matriarch of the family. I'm the step in, get it taken care of. I did not have time to grieve for my mom until I did, if that makes sense. Like, she passed. We said, my brother was he was having problems then. And so I basically had to handle this whole process, the whole process of taking care of her and figuring out what to do and planning this funeral. And thank God my uncle paid for it, because I don't know what would have, she had no life insurance. She had no anything. And so when the dust settled and I was able to sit down and breathe and s- take in what had just happened, like my mom was gone and she's never coming back. And there were times during that period that I just had to, she's at work. She's at work and she'll be back. But that is not healthy. That is not a good way to handle it,
Mhm.
because what happens is it comes back and your mom never comes back from work. She never comes home from work. So then that's for me, that's when the anger set in. And I was angry. I was very angry with God. And, I thought of, this is the only thing that I asked. This was it. I have praised you. I have worshiped you. I have taught in Sunday school. I have served my time. I have done all the things, and you couldn't give me them like my mom. That's like the only person at the time, and my brother, because both of my grandparents were gone. It's like, how do you expect me to believe in you when you can't do this? Like, this was my mother. How am I going to live without my mama? Like, how am I going to live without my mama? And I couldn't get past that. I mean, it took me a long time. I'm talking months of, I'm like, I got to pray. I'm not going to pray. I got to pray. I'm not praying. Like, I'm mad. I'm mad. I need God to know that I'm mad. Like, I need him to know. And but then, like, I went through this period also where I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep for weeks and weeks. And I remember being so tired that I just thought, "Oh my god, if I don't get some sleep," like, things were starting to feel crazy in my head. Does that make sense? And I'm a pretty
Mhm.
regulated person. I'm a pretty level-headed person. And when I tell you things were getting, like, where I had been up awake for so long that, like, I couldn't function anymore. I went to work one day, and I worked at Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee at the time, and my boss told me, 'cause I started crying and I couldn't stop. I just couldn't stop. And he said, "I need you to go home and don't come back until you're better." And I was like, "Okay." And now what? Now what? Because I jumped right back into my routine. I needed to. I needed to have some normalcy. Well, then it all came down on me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just, here it was. And now I have to deal with this. I have to deal with the fact that I'm angry with God. My mom is gone. What do I do? And so I started not sleeping and I prayed. I prayed, God, just send me some peace, some relief. I don't, there was a whole thing in that you, as the responsible child, because my brother was dabbling in drugs at the time and he just lost his mind. And as the responsible child, you have to step in and you have to make all these decisions that you should not have to make. Like, for me, it was taking my mama off the ventilator and just letting her go in peace. And then you live with the guilt of, what if they were wrong? What if I
Mhm.
killed my mom? What if, just all this stuff. So I needed peace in my life. And so I prayed, because that was the only way that I knew, even though I was mad at God, you know, I was like, "Okay, God, we got to get back together here. I'm sorry for being mad at you, but you got to understand, like, I'm going through a lot. Like, you got to help me out here." So I prayed. I prayed and I prayed and I prayed and I prayed, just to send me some peace so I could sleep, so I could get back to some sort of normal life. And I prayed really, really hard, and I had a dream. I fell asleep, first time in weeks, and I had this dream about my mama. And it's the weirdest dream. I know, it's crazy. I was riding in the car, and my mom appeared in the floorboard of my car. And I said, "What are you what are you doing here?" And she said, "I just wanted to tell you that heaven is beautiful, and I never knew love until I got here." And for me, that was what I needed. That was the sign from God that I needed. And I thought, "Okay, you know better than I do. And I'm sorry for being mad at you, and there are reasons that I believe that God took my mom at a young age. I was very angry too. And it took me a long time to realize my brother went through this whole addiction for years. And my brother was my mama's favorite child. He was the baby. Definitely her favorite child. And nothing that boy did was wrong. And I even told her one day, I was like, "You are not the same woman that raised me. You are a different person." And she was like, "No, I'm not." I was like, "Oh, you absolutely are a different person." So, like, he went through all this, and I don't think, Portia, I don't think my mama could have dealt with that. I don't think that
Mhm.
my mama could have watched that happen to her son. And I think that that's why God spared her that, because he knew maybe that I was strong and I could deal with that. So I got to deal with
Mhm.
that. I was like, "Oh, good. Thanks. Thanks. I'm glad that you have so much faith in me, but I'm going to need you to just calm down, okay? Like, this is enough." Like, seriously. So, and then I had to come to grips with that, and get over the anger of, well, why so fast? People,
Mhm.
I mean, like, we found out on July 2nd that she had cancer and she died on August 1st. And I thought, well, I
Wow.
didn't have time to, like, there was no time to spend with her and tell her everything that I needed to tell her. Like, she got sick, bam. I mean, it was done. And then I had to realize people suffer with cancer for years, years, and then it goes into remission, and praise God, it's gone, and then it comes back, and then you got all that whole ball of wax again. And my mom never had to deal with that. My mom never had to deal with losing her hair
Mhm.
and being sick from chemo treatments. And for that, I'm thankful. I'm thankful that God took her quickly and peacefully. And that took me a long time to just say out loud out of my mouth, because I didn't understand. And I know that we may not understand God's plan, but He has one for us. And it may not be what we want, and it may not be in our time, but it's there. And we have to learn to be patient and trust in God. And He will put you right where you need to be every time. Even though we may be like, "Yeah, I'm mad at you. I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you, God. Like, it's not happening." But you know what? He didn't punish me for being
Mhm.
mad at him. I can just you get a picture in your head, and he's like, "Oh geez, here we go again with this one."
Mhm.
Like, "Oh Lord." So that's what the constant in my life has been my relationship with God, and and knowing that Jesus Christ is my savior, and knowing that this isn't it for me. This isn't it
Mhm.
for me. There's something better waiting. I just have to do what I can here while I'm here.
A lot of things matter to me. I can talk about them endlessly. My faith matters, it's my light. Gives me hope and keeps me bright. Next to my friends and family, no other people I'd rather be. So come along and talk with